Nearly 70 years ago to this day, around midnight, sleep eluded him. He paced the hallway until his feet carried him into the kitchen, where he sat down at the table, head in hands, like a weary old man. The Montgomery bus boycott was nearing 2 months. Resources were thinning, tempers were rising, and the threats on his life, nearly 40 a day, were relentless. Arrested for traffic violations and his home recently bombed, he was exhausted and unsure. The reluctant Dr. King sat in the silence of those early morning hours and prayed, "Lord, I'm down here trying to do what is right. I think I'm right. I am here taking a stand for what I believe is right. But God, I must confess that I'm weak now. I'm faltering, I'm losing my courage, and I'm afraid. And I can't let people see me like this, because if they see me weak and losing my courage, they will begin to get weak. The people are looking to me for leadership, and if I stand before them without strength and courage, they too may falter. I am at the end of my powers. I have nothing left. I've come to the point where I can't face it alone." Elijah reaches a similar breaking point in our scripture today, stumbling into the thin shade of a solitary broom bush, like a deer gasping for water. He has tried to do what is right, to be faithful, but everything around him has unraveled anyway, including now himself. He lies down exhausted and prays a desperate prayer. "Enough, God. Take my life." This moment comes amid a bitter struggle as Elijah goes toe-to-toe with King Ahab and Queen Jezebel, a saga that eventually ends in violent spectacle. But at this point of the story, Elijah senses reprieve. Surely now he might get some rest. But a renewed threat snaps him back to reality, and Elijah flees into the wilderness, disillusioned and fearful, wondering how faithfulness could leave him so utterly alone. And yet, he discovers he is anything but. Alongside him lies a startling juxtaposition. The tribal deity he'd known to that point suddenly transfigures into a startling new image of this Holy One. Through bread and water, one at his wit's end is tenderly fed. His sleeping and dreaming closely guarded, he then awakens, renewed to go on. A colleague of mine once remarked of this scripture, "Never underestimate the spiritual power of a nap and a snack." These qualities of the divine feminine reveal a God who shows up not above us, but among us, as compassionate care, vulnerability, and wise discernment. Not power over, but power with. A God who cares deeply about our bodies when we are vulnerable, when we are victimized, when we are worked to exhaustion, unable to sleep, to dream, or to carry on. This week, Reverend Cameron Trimble suggested that we are all metabolically exhausted. More than just plain tired, metabolic exhaustion suggests relational fatigue and spiritual depletion. Byproducts, she says, of living inside an order that cultivates and thrives on our disconnection and runs on our fear. Such conditions are eating away at our trust in each other and in ourselves. They're diminishing our moral imagination and courage, substituting instead incessant distraction, competition, and a low hum of dread. The world, so goes the tired refrain, is full of enemies to be feared and conquered, rather than neighbors to be protected and loved. How easily it is to forget the core need of cherished belonging in each of us, and instead view life as survival, looking out only for one's own self and tribe. When we are denied participation in shaping a shared future where people are liberated and can get ahead in real ways, something in us begins to spoil. Our energies don't necessarily vanish, but they spoil some. Our vitality transmogrifies into angry resentment and into a hunger for someone, anyone, who promises to take control and make us feel safe again. This is why, in part, authoritarianism so often arrives disguised as relief. Fear is cheap fuel, so easy to produce, direct, and sustain that a culture that has exhausted its relational and moral reserves can become dependent on it just to keep moving. When people say this time we are living feels new, what they often mean, I think, is this has now reached people who were previously insulated from it. And yet Black Americans, Indigenous people, and generations of immigrants have known realities like state violence, not as anomalies, but as everyday threats. Indeed, this country was built on historic asymmetry. Some bodies disposable, so others could be secure. Lands stripped, so others could prosper. The pattern never vanished, but just cloaked itself in the language of normalcy. Our ever-increasing authoritarianism has emerged from the soils of such disposability. The violence isn't new, but what feels new to me is how accessible the public ritual and spectacle are. Our ability to access them moment by moment, and our inability to process more than we were ever meant to experience and process. Whether anger, fear, sadness, rage, resignation, or a mix of all of them, our typical spiritual, emotional, psychological, and even physiological reserves are running low. Metabolic exhaustion. God, help. At his lowest point, Elijah is reminded of his ancestors, specifically those who'd been freed from enslavement in Egypt centuries before and who fled like him to the wilderness. He fears a similar fate they did in that parched place devoid of water and bread. And yet, just as they had been fed, so a meal is placed before Elijah, as is the poignant reminder God is with us intimately in our struggles for liberation and restoration. In greatest need, the immanence of the divine is most intimately present, loving us back to life, renewing our resolve and courage to go on. Whenever we do the same for each other, we not only become tangible expressions of divine love, but we also reconnect with those past, and perhaps the greatest lesson their memory repeatedly teaches us, that we only get through and get free together. It is in part why the aggressive erasure of our histories is so disturbing. If we can't look seriously at our wounds, we will never heal. The fragile ego is offended when confronted with the harm it's caused and how it continues to benefit from that harm. It even casts itself as the victim and peddles in absurdities like the civil rights movement was an attack on white people. Dr. Carter G. Woodson knew what happens when history is denied and rewritten, and why 100 years ago to this day, he founded what would become Black History Month. To deny a people their history, he said, is to deny their humanity. For those who have no record of what their forebears have accomplished lose the inspiration that history provides. by anchoring the recognition to the February birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. Woodson was not offering mere symbolism, but strategy. And that was to embed Black history into classrooms, churches, libraries, and communities until America learned to tell the truth about itself. For decades, educators carried it, churches amplified it, civic groups shaped it, and by 1976, the nation formally recognized what has always been true. Black history is not a footnote to American history, it is essential to it. This year's centennial, wrote Doug Melville this week, calls us not only to celebrate how far Black Americans have come, but to remember why the work endures. For Black History Month is more than familiar names. It is the recovery of thousands of erased stories. Builders, thinkers, soldiers, artists, leaders, scientists, and everyday citizens whose lives shaped our nation. To engage this history, he said, is not only to honor resilience, but to grow wisdom, cultural competency, and moral leadership in a diverse world. Reconnection to history shines light on our present and lights us toward the future with greater hope. It helps us find moments to sit and dream, to rest and to remember, things that can't remain luxuries for an ever-shrinking few, but as necessities for all in a world, in a country, a culture, an economic system that demands our endless labor and judges our worth by it. Rest is resistance, said Tricia Hersey, because in it we remember and receive our lives and each other's lives as gifts, not as projects or as means to more and more profits. This week, Dr. Marini told me of a conversation Rosephanie Powell once shared with her students about the two Langston Hughes poems that she set to the piece we heard just before this sermon and the piece we'll hear during the offertory. To sit and dream and I dream a world are a symbiotic pair. The former, Hughes's callback to enslavement, when sitting and resting were forbidden, and therefore profound acts of resistance and a refusal to participate in the inhumane, unjust system. And in the latter piece, what happens within that space of blessed rest, the ability to dream the world otherwise.
To sit and dream, to sit and read, to sit and learn about the world. Outside our world of here and now, our problem world. To dream of vast horizons of the soul. Through dreams made whole, unfettered, free, help me. All you who are dreamers too, help me to make our world anew. I reach out my dreams to you.
I dream a world where no other man will scorn, where love will bless the earth and peace its path adorn. I dream a world where all will know sweet freedom's way, where greed no longer saps the soul, nor avarice blights our day. A world I dream where black or white, whatever race you be, will share the bounties of the earth and every man is free. Where wretchedness will hang its head and joy, like a pearl, attends the needs of all mankind. Of such I dream my world.
I reach out my dreams to you. Dr. Powell changed one word in Langston Hughes' original poem. Instead of, I reach out my dreams to you, she wrote, I reach out my hand to you. Here she had in mind both the hands of her ancestors and the lessons they hand down to us, and our hands extended to each other in this challenging present, and the hands that we extend now to future generations through the decisions we make each day. What that means for us may be handfuls of food offered and hands full of soil planted, hands signing petitions and hands holding signs in protests, hands dialing representatives, Senate and city council offices, and hands bravely holding up phones to observe, hands resisting purchasing anything as much as it is possible during vital boycotts and disrupting the greedy enterprise. It may mean for us holding other hands in this community when it is all too much. Hands to hold us up when we are falling into despair, tending each other's hearts in the myriad responses they have to this time. It may mean hands playing out melodies of a more just world, hands raised in song as we sing for peace because we know what is possible together. Hands clasped in prayer and hands open to new, surprising answers of co-creation with this wild and holy one. It may mean removing hands we have up like blinders on our face to truly see and understand the suffering of another and refuse to look away. Hands like Miss Shirley Raines, who died so tragically at age 58 this week. Her hands that gave scalp massages, haircuts, and the recognition of dignity to so many residents of Skid Row, allowing them some rare moments simply to close their eyes and rest in complete safety and freedom. Yes, it may mean hands that unclench to open doors wider despite their trembling with fear and doubt, hands that together will write and dream the world anew, hands that reach out to protect, to gather in, and to hold fast, hands that carry us all on when we're losing our grip, when all is unraveling, including us. So today and every day, may we sing with that great Negro spiritual and embody its timeless words for each other. Hold my hand while I run this race. Yes, hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain.